Hey y'all, this is Mitch Rossell, and you're listening to the Stage Door Show with Dave Hondell.
The Stage Door Show, celebrating the independent artist. With your host, Dave Hondell.
Hi everybody, welcome to the Stage Door Show tonight. This is Dave Hondell. Tonight I'm privileged to have my guest. He's a prolific songwriter, singer, and he's entertained millions of people all over the world, and he's the epitome of why we do this show, celebrating indie artists. So it's an honor to introduce Mr. Mitch Rossell. So thank you for joining us, Mitch.
Oh yeah, no, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And, just first of all, just getting started, I know independent artists out there really work their butts off in what they do and, trying to get their stuff out there and heard and so forth. And, I know you've done that for years. And, so basically talk about your start. When did you get started in maybe songwriting and talk about your progression, I guess, as an indie artist?
Yeah, I was kind of late to the party. I didn't start, I guess, wrote my first song maybe my freshman year of college. Didn't start playing guitar till the summer right before college. So I was kind of late to the game in that regard. So yeah, I got started right there. And then, yeah, I mean, it's been a wild ride. A lot of hard work, just a lot of grinding, man. I mean, when you're doing it independently, it's very rewarding, but it's definitely a challenge,
Obviously now with social media and all the streaming platforms that we have out there, I mean, did it help you as an artist, stay independent, I guess, or become, kind of be able to release your own music? And, is that back in the day, I mean, obviously you had to find a distributor, find a, record label that would sign you. And so now, I mean, made it easier for indie artists to have all these streaming platforms?
Yeah, I think especially there was a sweet spot there, when social media was still fairly new, where it absolutely was really, and it still is in a lot of ways. I think the difference now is that there's so much traffic. There's so many people trying to be seen and heard on social media that it's a challenge to cut through, especially when you're trying to do something, when you're trying to be a real artist, when you're trying to say something. There's a lot of space now for the short clips of the sensationalized thing. That's definitely, a lot easier to kind of get some traction on. But when you're trying to do something that's has a little more depth to it, it can be a challenge, but it's also a blessing. It's kind of, you got to kind of take the good parts and focus on those and try not to focus on the negative, but and don't get discouraged. But yeah, I think social media has been huge. Streaming's been really great in terms of, some of the playlisting and getting exposed to new audiences that would have otherwise never heard your music. That's been great. I've gained a lot of fans just off that, just off of, man, you came on a playlist and I was like, what is this? This is awesome. And, just had to message you and tell you how much I love the songs I've heard and stuff like that, so definitely been a big help in a lot of ways.
I think one thing that sets you apart from a lot of artists is your words. I mean, your lyrics and the music that you write, because I think that's a talent that not everybody possesses. Obviously you can sing somebody else's words, but the fact that your lyrics are so prolific. The song "Son," I got to tell you, I'm a huge fan of that song. I also lost my father when I was young. So it kind of hit home with me as well. But, that song, I got to tell you that it's just not only just the song itself, but the music video, everything about it. But talk a little bit about the writing of that song.
Yeah. First of all, thank you. Thank you for saying all that. That's really, really cool of you to say. I'm honored that you've gotten something from my music and that you recognize, I guess the years of hard work I've put in to try to be a good lyricist, and I still feel like I have a long way to go, but I appreciate you saying that. Son was, man, it was an emotional roller coaster for sure. I lost my dad when I was 10, and I mean, he was my best friend, and we were incredibly close. And so it was just devastating for me as a kid. And, I tell people that I think when that something like that happens to you, people usually handle it one of two ways. Either it defines everything in their life and everything they ever talk about is always related to that, or it's the polar opposite. They never talk about it. And that was more me. If you didn't know for some reason, or you didn't ask me, I wasn't going to tell you. And I didn't want sympathy about it. I didn't want people looking at me different or thinking I was trying to get attention for or whatever. I just like way overthought it and just suppressed it. And so fast forward, I wrote one song that talked a little bit about it. It was very like surface. It was kind of just this passing thing. I wasn't really digging into it. And it was actually, it's funny. My dad inspired it, yes, and in a lot of ways because of our relationship, and the lyrics are absolutely a picture of what I experienced as a kid. The Hot Wheels on the carpet, watching the Braves games, all those things are real. But really, what inspired it is my son, my first son, and all my boys now. But at the time, I had my first son. He was about 6 months old, and I just sat down with my buddy Dave Turnbull one day. He threw out that hook, and I just started, just life story started coming out, and it was like God just finally went, okay, you can open the gate now,
Yeah.
And so yeah, I think my son more than anything inspired that one. But of course, my dad, the relationship we had, it made it. There was plenty to dig into,
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it was just a beautiful song, and again, the video really brought it home as well. And and also, just writing music for not only yourself, but Garth Brooks, and everybody that's listening, obviously that knows who you are, knows that you've toured extensively with Garth, and stadium tours and arena tours, and a lot of the songs that Garth sings are from your writing. And it's just one of the things that Ask Me How I Know. I mean, that's number one song that and I saw you perform it on stage with him, and talk about that experience being like an indie artist and writer, and just having that relationship with somebody that I think you looked up to for many years, Garth, and just share the stage with him in front of thousands of people.
Yeah, it's always hard to put into words, because I always feel like for what I've gotten to do, words just don't put enough emphasis on it. I mean, I'm a man of faith, and it's crazy, when you just follow your heart. I feel like God takes what you think was pretty awesome, and he just like doubles it just to show off. You know what I mean? Like, I never would have imagined. I mean, Garth Brooks is the reason I'm in Nashville, I mean, I have videos, like old videos that, probably no one will ever see, but where I'm, talking about how, Garth is my favorite artist of all time and all this stuff, years before I ever talked to him or anything. And he inspired my writing so much, the way that I emote, the way that I structure song, all those things, And so to even have met him would have been crazy. But then take it a step further, he digs my stuff.
Yeah.
Take it a step further, he cuts, songs that I've written with him, and I get to write with him. And then go a step further, he becomes a close friend and a mentor for me, and a father figure in a lot of ways that I don't really have, and just it's been a blessing, and even that feels too thin, to even say. It's been amazing. He's such an amazing guy too,
Yeah.
If you know him and you spend time around him, you will literally go to war for him, because he is that level of a human to everybody, not just people he agrees with or disagree. He's everybody. He treats everybody with kindness, respect, compassion, and he's a great role model for sure.
Yeah, and just the fact that you said it's a blessing, and obviously it is, but your hard work got you there. I mean, your hard work and your dedication to your craft. We talk a lot about that on our show as well. And for those listeners out there that are just getting started, like I said, you are the epitome of what we have this show for. We celebrate and we inspire independent artists out there to go to the next level. And sometimes they get to that part where it's like, well, this is as far as I'm going to go. There's a plateau. But you're showing that there is no plateau. You're showing that you can go as far as you want if you work hard. So talk to our listeners out there about the fact that it's important to keep going. It's important to work hard, put in those extra hours, and And if you do that, good things are going to happen. I think it manifests good things. So, talk about that to our listeners and why it's important.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, first, let me say again, thank you for saying that. I really appreciate it. It's a thankless business in a lot of ways, sometimes, and it's nice to be, recognized for the work that you have put in. And so I really appreciate you saying that. It's definitely, for me at least. I mean, I think some people, just maybe get a lot more talent. I don't know that I ever had like this immense talent. I think I had some talent, and then I took that and I just literally beat it until I shaped it into something that was at least serviceable, and then I kept beating it some more, and people would ask me, in the last few years, like, man, how do I get better at songwriting? How do I become a great songwriter? And, I still don't know that I call myself a great songwriter, but the only thing I can say to you is fill up a notebook full of songs and then throw it away and start over.
Yeah.
Because that's what I did. I had to literally just dig it out of the dirt. And I knew I wrote all kinds of songs. I wrote every day for like 2 years, literally. And I don't even think I could play you one of those songs because I knew they weren't good enough. I got better in that time, and they got better and better, but they still weren't good enough. And so I moved here, and I heard how good some of the guys were, and I went, I got to get better. And I got a little better. And then I'd have a meeting, and someone would say, yeah, these are good, but this. And I go, well, I'm going to show you. And then I go get better. And then I go get better. And then you know what I mean? It's just a process. It's like anything else. If you want to be, proficient in something and I guess confident in it, that you can do it at least a decently high level, you have to put the time in. And so that's definitely, there really are no shortcuts, I don't think, for that.
Talk about collaboration as well, because sometimes, we write something or we put something out that we think is, it's a hit, or we think it's going to be, this is the best thing ever, and I can't wait for people to hear it. And then you get that criticism, or you get that feedback that says, hey, I like it, but let's do this, or let's, you put it in front of a producer, and they might say, well, let's tweak it a little bit. It's good, but let's do a little bit of, maybe a different key here, a different key there. And I mean, obviously it's something that you're close to because you wrote it, but is it important to take that feedback and to collaborate and to make it even better by having a few different ears hear it?
That's a hard question to answer. I'd say it just depends. I think that all of us as artists and songwriters are guilty of a little bias. You can't help but be a little biased.
Yeah.
You have to be able to try to step back from your songs, as hard as that is sometimes. I don't think you can blindly just take everyone's advice, because look at all at least in this business, I mean, most of the biggest artists got turned down by every single label in town, and some of them multiple times.
Right.
And they went on to be some of the biggest artists ever. So, like, clearly there are plenty of people that don't really know. No one knows everything, and it's like, one thing I've learned is that, especially in the music business, everybody's got an opinion. Everybody's going to tell you, oh, you should change this, or you should change that, or, oh, that could be better if you do this. And, maybe they're right, but maybe they're not. And I think that you just have to, at the end of the day, I'm sure I've probably cost myself a few times, but I'd like to believe that as much as I might have cost myself, it evens out with the times that I've been right. And that is to just stick to your guns. If you feel a gut feeling, and if you believe something is how it should be. Sun is a great example, actually, because we were told, it's 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Can you cut it down? Can you make it faster? Yeah, I tried it. It just didn't sound right. And I my co-writer and I, we were like, you know what? Let's not try to fit the mold and chase what everyone says we have to do. Let's just do what we do. I mean, at the end of the day, it's about the people anyways. If the people love it and they believe in it, then nothing else matters, So you just got to follow your gut, man. I mean, you're going to be wrong sometimes, and you're going to be right sometimes. And if you're too wishy-washy on it, you might end up just being wrong every time. I think if you stick to the program, you'll get enough of them right to where it works out in the end.
Not compromising, I think, is a great piece of advice. And I think I interviewed Don McLean. He said the same thing about American Pie when he wrote that it was 8.5 minutes long. And he said, you know what, they tried to get me to cut it down. I said, no, I'm not compromising my art. That's what it is. And it became one of the top, songs of all time. So you're right. Absolutely right. So, Mitch, real quick, I wanted to ask you this question because I like asking artists this question, especially people like yourself who've been in front of thousands and thousands of people at like arenas and stadiums. And talk about the first time you stepped on stage in, let's say, a stadium when there's like thousands of people at a Garth Brooks show, and you walk out there and just they're all there for you. I mean, what is that feeling like when you walk out there for the first time?
Oh man. Well, I wish they were all out there for me. They're all out there for.
I heard a lot of Mitches out there when they were screaming your name.
Hopefully one day that will be the case. They're all out there for me. But no, it's exhilarating, man. I mean, it's the first time I ever did it was terrifying and exhilarating. I told people, I was like, when the Las Vegas arena, T-Mobile Arena, I believe it's T-Mobile Arena. I think it's right.
Yep.
That was my first ever like big show. Garth asked me to open, and man, I was terrified. And I remember explaining that I couldn't wait to get off stage, and then as soon as I got off, I wanted to go back on. That's the feeling. It was the craziest feeling in the world.
It's addicting,
and
right?
From there, it was kind of the same every night for a period of time. But it was less and less, you know what I mean? It was more like the looking forward to it part. And then it just got to where it's like, man, you're always a little anxious and nervous. I mean,
right.
But it's just like, man, what an amazing blessing and opportunity this is. And, then I got to do the stadium tour, and I was even further in life and in my music and more so in life, just growing wiser. And, I have kids now and an awesome wife and I'm just so blessed, man. They're healthy, and I can't hardly talk about it. I know how blessed I am in that regard. I don't have millions of dollars, and I don't have all my dreams, haven't come true yet. But man, I even if they don't, I'm so blessed to have that.
Everything you need, absolutely.
Yeah, and I keep that in perspective. I'm going to go out in front of 80,000 people. It's like, yeah, it's a big deal. I'm not downplaying that, but not really. It's not really. What really matters is I got people who really love me no matter what happens. If I go out there and fall on my face, or if I go out there and kill it, they're still going to love me just as much. Nothing's going to change. My boys, when I get home, they're still going to run up and yell daddy and hug me. It's not going to matter,
Yeah.
So I try to keep that in perspective, and that helps me to kind of stay grounded a little bit and level, and not get out there. And because it's very easy when you walk out in front of that many people for everything to go into what I call fast forward. And that's where you stop being yourself and you go 100 miles an hour. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you don't get people, you don't pull people in that way as much, I feel like. So.
Well, you're very humble, and, I was going to ask you, I mean, your upbringing, I mean, you're a very humble person, and I love interviewing people that are humble like that, because it's few and far between the people that had the kind of success that you've had to remain humble like that. And so, have you always been like that? I mean, is that how you were raised, to be humble like that?
I don't know. I mean, I think some of it is just the way I was raised, for sure. I give a lot of credit to my dad, my mom, my grandparents. I think a lot of it's just my experiences, and then I think most of it's just my faith, man. God has been so good to me, and I think he changed my life. When I was 16, I gave my life to Jesus, and now I'll tell you, it was just a different version of me. That's, I've made a lot of mistakes. I've stumbled a lot. I've sinned plenty, but I always am growing in that, I think. And that's been the biggest reason, is I always have the perspective, because of him, because of the word, of just the fact that it's easy to get caught up, drink your own Kool-Aid, and think you're special. I'm no more special than anybody else. It's just a job. I mean, I have a gift for this, and other people have gifts for that. That's no different. This is no better. It's just a different thing. And I think that you just have to keep that in perspective and realize that, whatever your gift is, as long as you're doing your best with it, that's all that really matters. So.
Yeah, amen. That's so well said, Mitch. I'm so glad you said that. The other thing I wanted to ask you, not too long ago, you were able to do what a lot of country artists don't get a chance to do. You got to perform at the Grand Ole Opry, And so I know as a country artist, I mean, that's got to be the biggest thing that you could ever do in front of, I mean, you're in front of thousands of people at the arenas and the stadiums, but to stand on that stage at the Grand Ole Opry, that's got to be a special thing for you.
Yeah, you ain't lying, man. It was, it was very emotional for sure. You can feel the energy when you walk in that place. And, you know, I've said it a couple times in videos, you know, I've been in there, I've watched shows in there. I've been backstage a few times. I got to play in the band with Garth one night, but I never stepped in the circle because I didn't feel like, I didn't feel right about that. I wanted to do it when it was, you know, my debut, and I didn't know that I would get that chance. I just thought I'm not going to step in there until I get my debut if I'm blessed to do that. And it was just all of that, all those times and all those years of having that opportunity and not doing it, coming into that night. And then, of course, I don't know if you saw, but Garth surprised me. I had no idea he was going to do that. Doesn't surprise me, really, because that's just who he is. You know, he drove through Christmas traffic, which is like the worst thing ever. That's the worst place to be around Christmas is Briley and like the Opry, because it's like 45 minutes to go a mile. You know, he braved all that just to come and introduce me, which was, I almost lost it. It took every ounce of strength I had because I knew if I did lose it, I would never recover. You know, I'd probably sit out there and just sob and for 8 minutes until my slot was up, and then, and then they'd be like, "All right, man, well, that was a great 8 minutes, but we need you to get off the stage now."
That's awesome.
So yeah, it was pretty unbelievable night, no doubt about it.
What is your family, your wife, and your kids? What do they think of your notoriety and your fame? I mean, what do they think of that? Because obviously, like I said, you're very humble and down to earth. I mean, your family, I would imagine, is a big part of keeping you that way, right?
Oh, for sure, man. I mean, I'm very flattered you say that. I don't really even see myself that way, and I'm not trying to be humble or trying to be like, oh, all shucks or anything. I don't know. I've always had a hard time with that. I don't really see myself as being famous. I don't know that I ever will. Maybe, I don't know. But I know some people are aware of me, and I have some awesome fans, and you know, it's always cool though. And I think, you know, my boys aren't old enough to understand now, but, you know, if someone sees me out that knows me and they're like, "Oh man, I'm a big fan, can we get a picture?" and, you know, want autographs and all, it's just very flattering. And that I've moved them in a way that compels them to do that, you know, and I always know that I will feel the same. I really appreciate it. And I've also got a great mentor and great example in front of me with Garth. You know, he is just the most gracious person when it comes to his fans, and it's because he truly cares. I mean, if you truly sincerely care, it makes it easy. You know, you just appreciate everybody's willingness to support you and desire to just want to shake your hand. You know, it's really, really cool, really humbling.
Then your duet with Trisha Yearwood as well. I mean, that was an amazing song.
That song was one that when we wrote it, I loved it immediately, knew I wanted to cut it. And I never saw it as a duet or any sort of guest featured artist kind of thing. I just loved the song. So we cut it. And when I got the mix back, I tell the story sometimes, but when I got the mix back, I just, like, for some reason, the harmony just stood out. And usually, you know, harmony is not really a
right.
Kind of just, it's like seen, not heard, or I'm sorry, heard, not seen kind of vibe. You know, it's like, oh, if you'd miss it if it wasn't there, but you're not going to go, oh, listen to that harmony, you know? But for some reason, the harmony part was just kind of like, it had this rub in the best way, you know?
Yeah.
It just kind of stood out. And I was like, man, this would be maybe a cool song to have like a featured friend of mine, you know, that's a great singer to sing on. And, you know, the first name that comes to my mind is Trisha Yearwood. And I'm like,
for sure.
yeah. And I'm like, you know, I have no business asking Trisha Yearwood to sing on a song of mine. So I hesitated for a minute, and then just happened to be hanging out with Garth, you know, within maybe a few days after I got that mix back. And we were just catching up at his house, and we went for a ride out on the property, and he loved the song. And he had heard the song before, and he was, you know, notorious for singing it during sound check and stuff. You know, he loved it that much. Right. And so I knew he already knew what it was. And I said, "Hey, I cut Ran Into You." And he goes, that's such a good one. And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Do you think Trisha would sing harmony on it?" And he goes, "Yeah, I think she would." He goes, "But I ain't asking her. You are." I was like, Oh, come on.
You got to do the work on that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got the courage up and sent her an email, and she was gracious enough to
Yeah.
to come do it. She killed it. So.
Oh, yeah, it really helped make that song. It really did. I mean, the song stands alone, but when that harmony comes out, it's amazing. My wife and I were listening to that the other night. We just had it cranked in the house, and we listened to it like 3 times in a row. We just absolutely love that song, and you know, we were listening to all your music, and you know, she just kept, let's keep this on. I love his music. I just keep it on. So we were listening to every song, just going down the whole playlist, and it's just, you know, just amazing work that you do, Mitch. And you know, before we go, I always ask everybody this question. I'm going to ask you as well. But when it's all said and done, you know, what do you want your legacy to be? What do you want people to think of Mitch Rossell when they think of your name?
You know, I obviously have my desires in terms of music. I hope that people remember me a lot for music, and that my music became a part of their lives, like the fabric of their lives, not just something that was a trend or a fad, but really became something that got them through a breakup, or got them through a death in the family, got them, you know, was part of a happy memory they had, or whatever, you know, all these moments in life that I'd be honored to be a part of musically. I hope for sure that my music makes that kind of timeless impact, where they let their kids hear it and they let their kids hear. That's the hope there. But I think ultimately my legacy, I just want it to be that I was a really good father, good husband, and just a good man that tried to treat everybody with kindness and respect, and tried to make everybody feel like they mattered. You know, I think that's the most important thing for me. The rest of it would be icing on the cake, but I think that's the thing I wake up and I'm really trying to get better at making sure I do better every day. So,
well, that's amazing. Great legacy, and just, you know, you're a really good guy, man. Just a really good guy, and just like I said, I just love talking to you tonight, and just the fact that you took 30 minutes of time to talk to me on my show. I'm honored, man. So just thank you. And just, I know you have a tour that you're on currently right now. I mean, so talk about that. I mean, you have a couple dates coming up.
Yeah, we're excited about this year, man. We've got some markets that we're getting back into. A lot of them are on the Garth tour, and I've been trying to get back to these areas, you know. So really excited to be, you know, have some great weekends ahead this summer, and get back to some of those places, and get to see a lot of those people that have been messaging and asking about shows. And so that's really good stuff, and I'm looking forward to it for sure.
So everybody go on to Mitch Rossell's website. Just Google Mitch. You'll see everything on there. His videos, his website, anything on social media. It's all on there just by Googling Mitch Rossell. You know, Mitch, again, just thank you for taking the time. Really appreciate it, and best of luck on the tour, and best of luck in your future, because it's sky's the limit for you.
Hey man, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thanks for making the time, and looking forward to the next one for sure.